probably the most fitting Disney animated film for this podcast. Seriously, we have no idea what's going on here. Jamie?
Yeah.
Let's go watch The Black Cauldron. Welcome to another episode of Good Times, Great Movies. We're an 80s movie podcast where every other week we watch a different movie from the 80s and then we talk about it. I'm one of your two hosts. My name is Doug McCambridge, and with me, as always, is Jamie Lorello. There's so much cleavage in this movie.
Yeah, unnecessary.
This movie stops dead to show you a witch's boobs for like a minute and a half.
For a little too long. And granted, they're witchy and they're green or blue or whatever color she is, but... yeah, this movie is only at, an hour and 25 minutes? But...
No, this movie's an hour 15.
Oh.
It's not even nearly an hour and a half long.
Well, I watched it in two parts, if that tells you anything.
Holy shit. Wow. Okay. All right, okay. Well, first of all, now that you said that, let's talk about the fact that this is a patron's choice. Thank you, Laura, so much for giving us The Black Cauldron to watch, I guess. And if people didn't know, we have a Patreon. You can go there. You can give us a certain amount of money, and you can tell us once a year to watch a movie of your choice.
Right.
It could be something you love. It could be something that you really hate that you want to torture us with. It could
It's
be
your
anything
choice.
at all.
Yeah.
We get some pretty interesting suggestions. And this being our first animated Disney film, oh my God, the animated Disney films of the 80s is not good. I combed through and I was like, because I'm not a Disney... I don't really like Disney. If I'm being honest, I don't like Disney the corporation.
Oh.
I don't like a whole lot of Disney movies.
Yeah.
And I looked through and I went like, oh, the age where I really should have been into Disney, this was the kind of stuff that was out. It
Disney
was like
did some weirdo things. Yeah.
It was like, this Fox and the Hound might be the most Disney-ish thing, because after this was like The Great Mouse Detective. I don't know. I've never even seen that.
Oh, that was a little more adorable. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. And then it wasn't until like 89, like my sister's a little bit younger. So
right.
You had Little Mermaid, you had Beauty and the Beast, you had Aladdin.
That's a different version of Disney, though. Yeah.
Yes, that's like really great stuff. And I'm watching this going, this is a Disney movie, not some Don Bluth sack of shit. Like, I couldn't believe it.
This is in between Disney. This was Disney, I guess, maybe searching, too, to find... Because... Now, I like earlier Disney, too, because I like Alice in Wonderland and...
Sleeping Beauty.
Sleeping Beauty, right. And this is great. Kind of like Disney's sort of transition phase, right? Like it's adolescence, maybe, where it's trying to push some buttons with... even with the darkness. Like, some of this stuff, when that three-horned king appears, I thought to myself, if I was a little kid, 5-year-old me watching this, or 6-year-old me, whatever, I think this would startle me a bit. Whereas the witch in Sleeping Beauty, Maleficent or whatever, she's evil and it's a little scary, but it's not like this, like red eye skeleton carrying bones.
Like she's cool and she's sleek and she's evil, but it's not like she's some living dead monster.
Right.
Like
with arms of a real man, though. Did you notice that? Like his biceps were sort of not, but like parts of his arm. But then, he was like a Skeletor.
He was just like a skeleton wearing a robe. And then when his clothes kind of got ripped off in this movie, which was weird, I was like, oh, that's a buff human under there.
Yeah.
This is a wild movie. Like I said, like it kind of, I feel like Laura, I think in her email to me, she was like, this was a movie I watched a lot as a kid and I really like it. And I just kind of want to hear what you guys think, and that's what you're going to get, of course.
Yeah.
But it's like anything from your childhood. If you grow up with something,
it's nostalgic to you, right?
Yeah,
you have that kind of
total garbage. Case in point, Hey Dude. I will defend Hey Dude till the day I die.
But
I can objectively stand back and go, no, that's little kid trash. Like I totally get it. There's a lot of weird stuff happening in this movie, and also, You said you had to watch it in 2 parts because maybe it moved a little too slowly for you. But at every turn, I was like, where are they now? What's happening? How much time has gone by? Oh, wait, it's over? I really didn't get a sense of time, space, anything outside of this one tiny character's journey. I was like, I don't even know what world this is.
Well, and even his journey, I love how we're just going to talk
we're just into the
around
movie.
the movie, but
it's
not
the Black
in
Cauldron,
it
in case we didn't let people know.
Oh, yeah, it's 1985, The Black Cauldron, as we said, Disney in the 80s, early 80s. So in one respect, I would think that, like, if you told me this movie has to do with... it has witches and fairies and an evil king who needs to be destroyed by a simple pig keeper and his little trio of friends and his little furry sidekick that has a weird Donald Duck-like voice. I think I would say...
He sounds like Howie Mandel for Bobby's World.
Oh, he does.
Honestly.
Good call. Good call. I was trying to pinpoint what that voice reminded me of. You're absolutely right. But anyway, lots of aspects of this movie, if you told me about them, I would be like, oh my gosh, this movie sounds like something I would love. But then played out, I think, and again, I'm going to give too much away too early on, but I think one of my biggest problems with this movie, whatever, was that I didn't find the lead guy very likable.
I think it's a problem when your character's age is so ambiguous, because half the time I'm like, is he 12?
Well,
is
no.
he 16? Is he 9? I really had no idea. I was like, that girl looks like she's going to kiss him, but I think these two are just kids.
Yeah.
But also, if you told me that they were like 15, 16, I'd be like, okay, that's fine. Yeah, he is unlikable in that he's really braggadocious for no reason and seems to have no fear of danger.
Well, and he's not really a hero. I mean, he gets...
No, he finds a magic sword that saves them at every turn.
And it's not even like he's special for finding... And he stole the sword from a coffin.
One of my favorite parts of this movie is when they finally escape or whatever, and he's like, I was kicking so much ass. I'm amazing. And the princess goes, you know, that was kind of just your sword, right?
But that part too. So she kind of steps in and is like, it really wasn't you, it was the sword. And then he kind of has a tantrum about it. And then, right? Don't they kind of get angry at each other? And he tells her she's just a simple whatever. And they fight. And then she decides she's going to make up with him because she's like, oh, you're right. You were very strong, very brave. And you knew just how to work that sword. And, oh, my God, let's go on more adventures together. Let's bring this old little music man with us because... There's also no character development. And I know your movie's just over an hour long. Like, they don't introduce the quote-unquote love interest princess. I checked. We are in this movie for a half hour. There's 45 minutes left when a major character shows up. And I was like, what? What's happening? And also the old guy at the beginning goes away for the entire movie. And I'm just like, we're just hanging out with this kid. Why is he being raised by an old man? Where are his parents?
Why are there just old men and children in this land too? Because that's the other thing I was wondering. I'm like, why are these two in charge of this magical pig that can probably destroy the planet?
Yeah, where's the rest of the village?
Aren't there knights or a king or something?
Right.
But we're given no idea as to what is happening beyond this character's journey. This could be a desolate wasteland outside of that cabin that they live in. I don't know.
Well, and even his journey. So when he first loses the pig and he sees that the dragons take the pig far away to this land, we don't see his journey to that castle, which looks horrendous. I don't know how he gets there without...
It's like he walks around a tree and it's just like molten lava and giant dark mountains. And I'm like, was this like a half a mile down the street?
Yeah, how far? And like you said, is this what's happened to your world now? Like, are you just a small part of what's been left? And now you have to fight for what's left of your... Like, what is your... not enough background here.
There's no motivation behind the bad guy either. I'm like, oh, you want to raise an evil horde of dead skeletons because of evil. Okay, fine. Like, I don't even, I mean, and I don't want to compare this to other Disney movies, but it's just like I kind of understand why Ursula the Horrible Sea Witch, like, wants
she
her
wants the
voice
voice
and everything.
right.
Like, it's fun and it's fleshed out. Like, the villain is fleshed out. This is just a nothing, like, He-Man villain thrown into a Disney movie, we are really beating the shit out of this movie that Laura paid us to talk about.
No, but here's the thing, and here's where Laura is right. This, though, with our style, with our whatever beat of our podcast, this is the perfect first Disney movie for us to have watched as a Good Time Great Movies podcast. I wouldn't have wanted to watch something like Little Mermaid was 88. Yeah, Fox and the Hound. Yeah,
Little Mermaid.
Well, any of the 80s, this was she chose wisely, whether we liked it or not, which clearly, before we give too much away, I don't think either one of us.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, because if we talked about Little Mermaid, I'd be like, everybody knows it. It's really great.
I'd be
it's
singing
fun.
along.
The
Let's be honest.
Great,
hey, that's another thing. This was pre-songs for Disney or in between songs for Disney because there's no songs. Even the minstrel doesn't sing a song.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah. Wow, no wonder it didn't feel like a Disney movie. You're right, there's no songs. Nobody's singing.
Not even the little furry guy.
Oh God. Could you imagine?
Could
you listen to that song? I don't know that I could.
But there were none. There were none to listen to.
All right, let's get into it. You know, we've already sort of talked about it, but let's
go diving
talk about
in.
What's happening here? Yeah.
Well, did you notice? At least mine said. Maybe I made this up. When it starts, when we Black Cauldron, it says rated R for some scary things. Did yours say that too?
Excuse me? Rated R?
For
you
some
rated PG,
No,
right?
I saw rated R for some scary things.
Okay. Mine said rated PG for frightening elements, I believe is what it said.
Okay, well, maybe, I don't know.
I don't think this is rated R, but I don't
think it is either, but it did have some sexual content. It did have some scary things.
Oh, yeah, boobs. Right.
Yeah.
It's like, what version are you watching? Rated R. You're like, I think I just watched Body Double again. I'm not sure. No, this is the first, I think I read this, or I dreamed it. I think this is the first Disney movie that was rated PG. That was not G.
Oh, that was not a G rated. Okay.
Because of the frightening elements and massive amount of cleavage.
That makes sense. Well, even our opening is a little bit more jarring than your typical. It's not the birds and fields. We transition to that, Disney trees and fields and nature.
Did this movie remind you of Legend, kind of the whole time?
In between, yeah. Yeah, well, you could feel it mocking things like Legend, Lord of the Rings. Like, you could feel the... Yeah, how it was... Not mocking it, but imitating,
I found this interesting before we started. It was directed by two people. I don't know what they're... Ted Berman and also a guy named Richard Rich. And in school, kids called him
Richie Rich. I would. He's my buddy Richie Rich.
All right, so let's get into it because it actually starts with voiceover and text on screen, which is, if you're making a children's movie, this is a bad decision. You should not have to have kids either read stuff or try and explain the backstory of why any of this matters at the start of your movie.
All right, so yeah, the opening is giving us the history of the cruel king whose soul has been captured by the Black Cauldron. And it talks of demons and armies of deathless. It's not this cheerful, like I said, birds chirping. It's going to be a great day. It's this Black Cauldron.
There's evil stuff in Disney movies. Like there's wicked stepmothers.
There's good and evil that makes them
horrible tyrants and monsters and stuff like that. So I don't want to say that this is totally different, but they are leaning into it right away. It's almost like they're saying, hey, listen, if you have little kids that are watching, it'd be a bad idea to maybe get them something else to do. Get them out of the room.
Put them night-night, maybe. Yeah.
Right, yes. We're introduced to our not our main character, because he's just an old man that is in charge of this boy.
Yeah, so he's not our main character. But we switch to the happy fields and the birds chirping, and we've got there's this old man who is and his boy servant. I think that is a appropriate and also very inappropriate way to describe this kid. He's making some sort of porridge on the hearth and tending to the needs of the old man. The old man's nice enough to him, but it's clear that this Henwen Henwen.
Yeah, I have to watch stuff with subtitles, or I don't know what's happening.
Which
or else
is
I would
great.
have thought this thing was called Henry.
I thought Henry. I had Henry in my notes, and then I'm like, wait a minute, it's a little girl pig, and I think they're calling it Henwen.
It's Henwen, and I love how he's making such a big deal about it, because this cat, who's this guy's other pet, because at first we don't know what Henwen is.
No.
But he is making such a big deal. He's like, no, this is Henwen's food.
Yeah.
Not for you, cat. But if this kid, like if Henwen doesn't want it, or the kid makes too much, you can have a little bit. It's fine.
And what's the kid gonna eat?
I don't know, dirt, mud, whatever. I don't know what this kid has been surviving on. Working for this old man, being his apprentice, tending to his garden. I don't know what this kid is there for.
Helping him. He's a pig care. He says he's a pig assistant. He's assisting with the pig.
Assistant pig keeper, which does not sound like a real job.
Well, it's a small village. There's not much to do. I don't know.
We don't even see a village.
And we don't know how long he's been there. We don't know where his parents are. This is his older man. There's no setup for even that this is maybe an uncle or a grandfather.
Yes, all we need is one line like, after your parents died.
Right. Or
I mean, I know it's sad, but we just need that.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Something, anything. I don't know what this relationship is.
No. And we get no other background other than, well, the boy, first of all, is a bit of a dreamer, right? He seems to be...
He's a kid. He's a kid.
Well, like you said, in the beginning, you think he's more like 8 or 9. But then in the middle, you're like, oh, maybe he's more like 15 or 16.
Right.
He's daydreaming about being a warrior, being more than a pig.
He wants to murder people so badly. Like, this kid is like, look at this stick. I'm going to kill people. It's going to be awesome. Let me chase the barnyard animals around and swing sticks at them. Way to go, kid. Really great.
Right. There is some kind of a war happening. Again, we don't get enough detail about it, but we get the sense that there's a reason to be a warrior, to be out at war. There's some kind of war happening right now around them. And yeah.
Yeah, because the kid says, like, oh, by the time I'm old enough to fight up, but the war's going to be over. And I'm like, what war? What's happening? I didn't hear that at the beginning. No. They didn't talk about a huge war and who's fighting, because we don't see anyone. Were your parents killed in the war?
Yeah,
was your
give
village
us that.
destroyed during the war? Something.
And now you're hiding out with the only other man that survived, and his pig, and he's asking you to take care of the pig. Is there a connection? Why are you the pig keeper?
Why
assistant?
is this old man the pig keeper? Like, why are these
the
two
old
in charge
man knows
of
the
this pig?
secret spell now. So the boy, the pig, and the pig is adorable. Let's just say it. It's little piglet with the
one of the cutest. I'm going to say cutest Disney animal I've seen in a very long time. Like, this is like one of those deep cuts when people are like, top 10 cutest Disney animals. People could put Henwen in there and everybody would be like, what the hell is that? But you'd be totally justified in doing that.
Absolutely. Henwen's adorable. So they wrestle together, these two, and they get all muddy out back, and he gets
beat up by a goat. This kid thinks he's such tough shit, and his goat beats him up.
Yeah. He's not any kind of a real hero. Even to take care of Henwen, he has to be reminded by the old man. It's not like he's like does the pig keeping job well. No, it
appears that he has to feed this pig once a day, and he still kind of forgets why he's there.
And he's terrible at it. Yeah, he's terrible at it.
I would love to see the interview for this pig assistant pig keeper job. I don't know how he was the most qualified applicant.
When Henwen is getting a bath, Henwen kind of freaks out a little bit. Right away, the old man knows we got to bring Henwen inside. We got to bring her to a kind of a bowl of water so she can look at her reflection and see the future. And the pig is, again, adorably goes into this daze, and her she goes like snout first into this bowl of water.
It's really
and this
funny.
vision, like a crystal ball vision, comes in the reflection of the water. And again, the boy is like, what the hell? Nobody told me Henwen could do this kind of shit.
Yeah, this kid was like, is this your first day on the job, kid? Because this old man knows that it's a magical pig, and this kid seems to have no idea why he's been taking care of this pig.
But now it's time for Henwen to shine. And then when Henwen does have gets a little feisty during the bath, the old man is like, oh, she's doing it. She's giving us the message that she's supposed to. And the message has to do, it's a trippy vision that this Dizzy Pig gets. It has to do with the Horned King and dragons, and we get the titular line not once, but I think thrice. The Black Cauldron is in this vision.
This pig can tell the fortune or answer the future, or answer any question you have.
When evil's coming.
Tell the present. Like, I don't...
And
the Horned King wants to use the pig to find the Black Cauldron, so apparently the pig can tell you where things are that you need to find, as well as the pig can tell you when bad guys are after him.
I guess the old man never made the pig use her powers, right? He waited till the pig...
I mean, he had to know the pig had powers, though, somehow.
I guess, but maybe because one day the pig just got a little dizzy and fell into its trough, and he was like, "Pig, what's happening?"
It's like, this pig is fucked up. Did the pig get into the wine? And then he looked in the water, and he's like, "What is this all about?" Yeah. And the pig probably was like, "This kid is the best for the job of tending to me." And he's like, "Great, now I gotta go find some kid."
This is the pre-story that we needed to see so that we knew what was happening, but we don't get any of that, so we're just speculating. Either way, the pig has some sort of fortune-telling, doomsday-telling, some sort of powers that are elicited.
It's just a magical pig.
There we go. Yeah. Magical pig. Precious little sweet magical pig.
But also, and I know this is a horrible thought, but you could... It's terrible.
No.
You could just kill this pig. Like, I mean...
Oh, and then the thoughts stop coming?
There would be... No, the Horned King wouldn't be able to find the Black Cauldron then. Like, the pig... This fortune-telling pig, if you removed it from the situation, the Horned King would never be able to find what he's looking for. It's an easy solution if you're just an old man and a little boy.
So wait, your solution, instead of killing or destroying the inanimate object, the Black Cauldron, which is the point of this movie, essentially.
Which cannot be destroyed.
Well, unless I guess you throw a fur ball into it.
I do like how they're like, "Oh no, one of us has to die. Well, I guess the world's just gonna end then."
I know.
What? That's an old man. Throw him. He should. I'm sure that musician has lived a long life.
Yeah.
I can't believe he didn't just step up and be like, "Listen, I will do this. They will sing songs about me for eternity.
Right?
I'm gonna do this." But they all sit around there like, "Oh, our journey's over," and we just give up.
Well, we don't have the sword. Now we just have to kill ourselves in the cauldron, and nobody wants that.
Who would have thought witches would trick us?
We'll just wait for the three-horned king to take over. Yeah. Witches? Shady? No.
They seem
This
so
is a silly little
trustworthy.
trio. And he has, the music man, the old man, has that harp that will say when, it must only indicate when he's lying. Not when other people are lying.
I don't know what it's doing because those strings are constantly breaking.
They break every time he lies. I think every time he tells a lie, a string on his harp breaks.
Oh.
So see, they all haven't. They don't.
Maybe don't bring that around with you when you're telling
Well, it
lies.
disappears at some point. He doesn't have it with him at some point.
Okay. All
And
right.
same
We are
thing-
not him. We have not met anyone else in this movie yet.
Oh yeah, that's right. We're not really there yet. We've just seen what's part of what's possibly coming. So the man, after the pig has the vision, the old man is packing, and I like this style of animation, Disney animation. It reminds me of the Sleeping Beauties, but as we're...
The backgrounds look great. Like, I love
Yes.
the background paintings and all that stuff. Looks amazing. And also, I read this is the first time that Disney used computer animation in their movie. Like, when he's on the mountain and you see, like, those clouds in the sky and it's all swirly and stuff. And then when the castle's crashing down, you see sparks and fire. Like, that's all computer-generated stuff, which is kind of neat.
Yeah.
Like, it's a neat little touch.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I enjoyed all that. So the old man's packing the knapsack of the apple and the loaf of bread, and I love that. I just love in cartoons when they have a loaf of bread. It makes me hungry for bread, and he cuts a little loaf piece, he wraps it up.
It's like, this will keep you, nourished for, I guess, the rest of your life. Here you go.
Yeah,
have fun,
he
kid.
basically tells the kid that she has to go into the woods and hide for unknown amount of time with the pig.
There's no plan, mate. Like, you have to, if you're this old man, you have to have some sort of plan. Like,
And
this
you
is
must
the
have
part in the
known
movie
this
where
was
he
coming.
should open, like, a door to a secret cellar,
Yes.
and he's like, here's a cache of weapons and food and whatever else you need, potions. I've been saving it up. Here's the plan.
Right.
But it's like, you might want to leave here because apparently this guy knows where this pig is.
And he gives him a slice of bread and an apple on his way. A slice of bread from, as I mentioned, a whole delicious Disney loaf of bread. He could have just given him the loaf. But the bread and the apple, the boy and the pig go off into the woods. And the boy sort of, this is when what is the boy's name? Taryn?
Sure, let's
I
say.
think that's
No, I
his
think
name.
it is. I think I wrote it down so late in this. I just kept writing, he, the kid, this kid, he. So
He does take this job earnestly, though. He's going to protect the pig and go. Well, at first, when he goes off, he goes off and he's like, all right, yes.
you mean from the time he grabs the apple to the time that he reaches the front door? Yes, he's very
No,
serious.
till he reaches the pond where he sees his reflection, which again, the beginning of this movie, I thought, okay, maybe I'm going to be into this little messages in here because, so he's walking with the pig and he's like, I'm going to be the best pig keeper. I'm going to make sure this pig stays safe. And then he gets distracted by his own reflection and his vision of himself being this like warrior. And in this vision, he totally forgets about the pig.
It's like 20 minutes. He lost this pig in 20 minutes.
Yeah, he's barely on, like you said, he's barely out the back gate of the little cottage he lives in. And he stumbles upon a puddle, gets a little distracted. He's like a kid with ADHD. He's like, he can't stay focused. Do I want the sword? I don't know. Are you a witch? What do you need? Are you a girl? Yeah. So
I really needed a scene of this old man like looking out the window as they walk into the woods, and the old guy being like, "We're so fucked."
He probably knew that heading out. That's why he's like, you'll just need a piece of the bread. You're not going to make it very far.
Yes. This pig will be dead, captured in a half hour.
Yeah.
He'll be dead by the afternoon.
It's not going to go well. I've been around this boy long enough to know he can't complete a task. But yeah, so he loses the pig, and already he's like, shit. So he goes on his, which would be great. He goes now to try to find said pig. Is this when he stumbles upon the little furball or not yet?
This is when he meets Gurgi.
What kind of names are these? That's another thing. The names in this. I don't ever remember the princess's name. Princess, I don't know. They could have named her something a little more. Even him, Taryn? I don't know. Terrence would have been better. Terrence, the little boy. But he's Taryn.
That's fine. Yes.
Even
Princess, I don't know what her
Henwin.
name is. Call her
Henwin.
Fiona or something.
Yes,
That's fine.
yeah.
I don't know what her name is. Probably Apollonia or something that's difficult to say. So speaking of apples,
Yeah.
does this kid like drop the apple and it just like rolls under a bush, and this little tiny, what would you call him? It's like a monkey had sex with a dog and this thing was born.
But like one of the little dogs, like a Pomeranian or something, right?
Yes, exactly.
And it's got, like you said, he when he speaks, at first he doesn't speak. He does a lot of hand gestures. And then the speak he has is that weird, semantically strange, like, me go see you.
Yeah.
We friends or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah,
Or
it's like
syntactically strange.
a lot of little weird sidekicks, little things that lived in the woods, little Lord of the Rings monsters.
Yes,
that
like a
love rings or
golem.
whatever.
Yeah,
Like, yes,
yeah.
It's really cute. I do have to say I like how like floppy his hair is, and he's always like pushing his fur off of his eyes and stuff like that. Like there's really nice things about this, and I think it's bizarre that immediately he's calling this kid master and he's calling him his best friend.
Well, that's
It's
where
like,
he's little
what?
Gollum-y. You wonder at first, are you some sort of like alter ego to the boy? Are you gonna lead him into the danger? But he really is this just like innocent little sidekick who wants a master, wants a friend.
Yes.
Also
Yeah,
wants the apple
right.
very badly.
Yeah, he's like, we're gonna be buddies forever, right? But it all appears to just be like, hey, can I have that apple? Because
Yeah.
I'd really love to eat that apple. Because even the kid like takes the apple and shoves it in his pocket, and the thing's like, oh yeah, you know what? I did see a pig.
Yeah.
It's over there. How about I just climb up your body and maybe grab this apple and we can just go get it?
Yeah. And the boy's very distrusting of him, right? He's like, I don't believe you. And then the little guy takes the apple and takes a bite out of it. And the
Yes.
boy's like, you're not a good person,
Yeah, the
creature.
kid's just overly annoyed with this thing
Yeah.
that is honestly helping him. Kid, you already lost. You had one thing. I know it's a cliche, but he had one job and he already messed this job up. And this thing is your only link to this pig. And at every turn, this kid's like, oh, you're so annoying.
Yeah.
I can't believe you just won an apple. But long story short, they do find the pig, and the pig is immediately scooped up by a couple of evil dragons.
Well, not just immediately scooped up. The boy does chase it for a bit and doesn't make any headway. That's where, again, he says, wait a minute, I hear him squealing, and he sees the pig, but he never is able to save the pig.
No.
Holds on to the dragon's tail for a moment, but then gets smacked away.
It is funny because there are two dragons. One grabs the pig, and like you said, he has the tail of the other one. And then the second dragon grabs him by the head, and I was like, oh, they're going to carry this kid away. The dragon just like mushes his head in the mud and takes off. I thought it was really funny.
Yeah, he's like, I'm done. You're this. And now the boy has he's lost the pig now twice, and now lost him to flying dragons.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
And like we said earlier, this is when he's on top of a mountain in, I'm going to say, hell. Somehow this kid made his way to hell very quickly.
Right.
And he's like, that's a pretty evil castle. I got to go there. And this little furry apple-loving thing is like, I'm out of here, dude.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah.
And the kid's like, all you wanted was an apple. You're terrible. I was like, kid, come on, you lost a pig. He has to go to this castle. It really is like, I can't believe he found the bad guy's lair within the first 15 minutes of this
And
movie.
we don't see any bit of the journey that must have been unpleasant to get to this hell castle.
But we also never know if it's day or night. This could be all over the course. This entire movie could take place in an afternoon, and I'd be like, that sounds about right.
Hold on, I'm making sure that I didn't miss anything.
Oh, we didn't miss anything. Don't worry.
All right.
We can talk about this castle because we suddenly enter this castle. We get a better sense of who these bad guys are, but not really. Because these bad guys seem to be like, they're a bunch of drunks making this. One guy stands up to make the greatest toast ever. He just go, here's to everybody. That's all you hear. And they're so excited. And they're like a mix of Vikings and pirates and knights. Everything is ill-defined.
Yeah, yes. But it's a group of burly men, basically. He stumbles upon them in the tavern part of the castle, I guess. There is a lot of the women in this, which there are the women, not the girls. The women are very busty, including there's a belly dancer or some kind of a dancing girl at the tavern. The castle tavern.
Yeah, you're right. We don't meet many women in this movie. We meet this belly dancer, the princess,
and the witches.
And the witches.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. Well, also at this part, this is when the Horned King shows up.
Oh, right. All of the fun stops at the tavern. And
I love how you keep calling it a tavern, as though this is like a mall inside this castle, and there's like a barber shop over there. But I mean, that's what it is. I mean, they're all just so drunk, but they're celebrating the capture of this pig, where I was like, this just happened.
Well, news travels fast in this area. The dragons made the call, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, this is also where we find, so the Horned King has a little sidekick, this little like goblin.
Yeah, this little green goblin with these wacky eyes. Yeah.
Weird. Yeah, not a great evil sidekick. I think about Gilbert Gottfried as that parrot in Aladdin.
Oh,
and he's amazing.
Yeah.
Just, he doesn't quite have that, presence. But this is where he brings the pig out in chains.
Oh, poor pig! Again,
hilarious that you chain it up.
But so sad. Like when this pig is so adorable that when it returns on screen, now we've just seen this belly dancer and the three-horned king is back, and the boy again has proven to be very disappointing. He can't chases the pig. We don't know how he struggled on his journey, how he made it there. He just he doesn't yet fall through, right? No, he doesn't.
Nobody climbed up the side of this castle wall and is just watching.
And it's just peering
from the
in.
rafters.
Right. But when they drag the king in, or the pig in by the chains, it's the saddest little thing.
It is so sad and so bizarre. Like, I was like, this looks adorable and sad at the same time. I'm like, these are cute tiny chains. That's a lot of fun. But you're right. It is very sad. And now I see that
And now
you're
you're
not
back.
anymore.
No,
Great.
now you're back. Okay.
So
Sad little pig.
Also, the little goblin guy and the Horned King also seem to know how this pig tells the future too, because they're
The
like,
Oracle
I don't know,
pig?
get a bowl, we'll dump some wine in there or something like that, and shove this pig's head in there, and we'll figure out what's going on.
Well,
But before this happens, the kid like falls down and then makes a break for it with the pig.
right. Well, yeah, the pig's excited to see the boy. The boy embraces the pig. He's like, for some reason, the
Right.
boy's like, now that I've got the pig and we're reunited, we're going to get out of this. No, not that
It's
simple.
so weird though too, because the kid's like, before they escape, the kid's like, hey, give me that pig back. And he's like, you know what? We're going to cut this pig's head off, because they put it on like a
They put
chopping
a little
block.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well, because the
and this
boy
kid-
says that he can't make him see the future. He says, I don't know how.
Exactly.
I don't know what to do. And they said, well, if we don't know how to use the pig, then we're going to kill the pig.
And this kid totally falls for this too, because I'm like, kid, they need the pig. They're not going to kill the pig. First of all, they need the pig, and they need you to make the pig see the future. But he totally falls for it. He's like, don't kill Henwin. I'll do this for you.
Yeah.
This kid buckles in no time.
No time at all.
Again, he's a terrible pig keeper. He does hypnotize this pig.
Yeah.
I guess just after he saw it happen this morning, like he memorized the whole
He
deal.
got the lines down, and he was a little surprised that it worked. But when it worked, the creepy three-horned king kind of creeps in closer to say, yes, tell me
Right.
more about the cauldron. And then the one smart thing that the boy does, he kicks the water into the king's face,
Yes.
splashes the king in the eyes, and then he runs off with
Right.
the pig, and he
They
gets
make it to the roof.
yeah.
Let's call it the roof
I'll
of
call
the
it
castle.
the
If castles
castle's
have
roof.
roofs,
Well, they have
need it.
taverns, so yeah.
And this pig jumps, I don't know, 300, 400
The
feet.
boy's even like, wait, don't jump yet. Again, the boy doesn't do, like, he gives bad advice and he doesn't do,
Yeah.
he tells the pig, wait, like they're going to jump together on the count of 3 or something. But the pig's
Yeah.
already like, I was almost just my head. I've been in chains. They almost cut my head. I'm out of here. And somehow that little green goblin is strong as anything. He grabs the boy by the leg and
Yeah.
pulls the boy back in. And now the boy is a prisoner, but really of no
Right.
use to the three-horned king. So without the pig who's escaped. And so into the dungeon the boy must go, where we meet.
It's been a bad day for this kid.
Not the best, not the best day. Well,
And he's not, like, at every turn, like you said, he's kind of incompetent because he's in his dungeon, like, crying, and then suddenly out of the floor emerges this princess, and she's like, oh shit, I tunneled my way into another chamber. Like, she's doing everything, because even later she's like, I saved you, you would still be in there without me right now. Like, this kid really is helpless.
well, and when she meets him,
what I
she's
learned.
like, are you a warrior or are you a prince? What are you? And he's like, I'm just a pig keeper. And she's like, great, pig keeper.
She's like,
I
what
thought
a
somebody
useless
with, and now
piece of garbage you are.
let's note this, besides her interesting haircut where she's got that weird like sideburn thing, she's got kind of some fun rock star bangs happening.
You know, they illustrated her in the 70s and just didn't change it in the mid 80s. They were like, that's fine, that's okay, it still looks good.
But she is in the dungeon because the king also captured her, because she has this glowy ball that follows her around. The glowy ball doesn't seem to be good for anything but bothering bats and illuminating her way. And the
yes,
ball, and
but
the
for some
ball, she
reason-
loses the
go
ball
ahead.
at a certain point. Like, I thought at some
Yes.
point she was going to unite the balls, the power of her glowy ball, and something the boy could do. Like, I thought maybe the sword was going to be something that only the boy can activate, because the king was a long lost relative of his, or maybe his dad or something, and that's why the sword had power in the boy's hands. And then the power of the sword and the power of that little girl's ball was gonna help to defeat the three-horned king. But that's not where this movie goes. That's not.
I think
that's
they
a
could have
different
used
movie.
you in this writer's room, because I don't know what these dudes were doing other than going to lunch and possibly doing some cocaine. Like, there's no story here. Like, I don't know what this light up ball thing is that she has. It has no personality. It never helps with anything. We don't find out that its secret talent is at times it could like turn into some sort of human and fight guys.
Or they
like,
can ride upon
amazing.
it and it takes them places, or it can move things from far away. Yeah,
yes,
it has no
exactly.
special
like,
power.
We can't
other
get
than
that key over there. Can you
Right.
fly through, get the key, bring it? There's nothing
No.
here
And
at
then
all.
at some point it just leaves. It's not with her anymore.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank God you said that, because
Yeah.
at the end of this movie I was like, oh, there's that glowing orb. I don't think I've seen that in a very long time. Okay. So yeah, so she's like, all right, listen, if you want to follow me along, you can.
Right.
Let's just go. I'm digging around. And that's sort of what they do. And like you said, the Horned King kidnapped this girl because he thinks that this glowing thing might also be able to tell him where the cauldron is. So he's just like throwing darts, being like,
Yeah.
I don't know, a glowing thing, pig. Like this guy who has a harp on him. Like, I don't know what
He's
thinks
just
he's
trying
doing.
to figure out anybody that knows anything about, and never thinks to ask these three witches who are hiding out in this shack, who collect cauldrons, that they
Right,
might know
yes.
where the cauldron would be.
The witches who have a business of apparently selling cauldrons or kitchen pots to people.
No, the
He
Three-Horned
doesn't
King
think
is
of that.
bothering
and
with...
also he doesn't think of these little underground monsters
No.
that are like, oh, you want the black cauldron? We fucking know where that is.
They're not monsters, they're fairies. I enjoyed their little intro into, or when we got to see them. Although I do like that, like, the Mr. What's the word I'm looking for from Three's Company?
Mr. Roper?
Yeah, it's like the Mr. Roper of fairies. That one fairy in the yellow that follows them around. And he's
Oh,
like, I
he's
gotta
just
fix this. I gotta
He's
do this.
so cranky. And I love it how the one who I'm going to call Papa Smurf because he's in red and looks like
He's
Papa
got a
Smurf.
little-
He's
yeah.
like, hey, you know what? You should go with them. And the rest of them, like, I imagine he leaves and they're like, that's the only way we could get rid of this guy. He's the worst one of us.
He
Maybe
can't put
he'll
together
die
a
on this
well.
journey.
I thought even the fairies, I thought that because there's that little baby fairy, I thought maybe she was going to curiously follow behind on the journey and cause a little...
Sorry, Jamie, that would be way too interesting. We are not going to do that here. So, okay.
Anyway,
so
we haven't met the fairies yet, though. We really are
Right,
just
we're
having...
not there yet.
No.
We're still in this castle,
Yeah.
but this is where, what's his name?
Taran?
Thornton?
Taran, the boy?
Taran. This is where Taran and the princess kind of like wander into burial chamber.
Yeah.
And
It's
you
of
know,
the
this
old
kid's like,
king that used to be
"Whoa."
at this castle, I guess.
What?
Is it the old king's warrior or burial chamber who used to be at
Good
this?
question. Good question. Maybe we're supposed to know, but I have no idea. But this kid like finds this sword and he's like, "That's a really cool sword. I'll just be taking
Just
this
taking
right
it
now."
with me. Yep. She even
And-
points out when later she sees him, she's like, "Where'd you get the sword?" He's like, "Oh, I took it off the dead body." She's like, I don't think that's creepy, really. I don't think that's cool. Like, you didn't win points with that one, buddy.
Right. He's like, "Listen, you don't know who you're bringing along.
Yeah.
You don't know me."
He's like,
You don't
I
know
mean,
what I'm
he
all
did have a
about.
valid point, though. He's like, I mean, the guy's not going to use it.
Yeah.
We got to find this cauldron. I'm
It
a
is
pig.
a good point. It
Yeah.
really is, especially because this sword is the only thing that saves them. But we're
Yeah.
not there yet
No,
either.
no.
So now we flash to another old man. Like I said, this movie is just old men and children. There's another old man being chained up
Yeah.
for some reason. I do like how he's like, "Listen, I'm sorry. I didn't know who lived here." And I'm like, "Are you a squatter? Are you just like wandering around? Or are you a door-to-door music salesman or something?" Like, it makes it seem like he just showed up and knocked on the door and they captured him.
Uh-huh.
And also, did you notice that they throw him in, I guess, the musical dungeon?
Yeah.
Because he looks across and there's a skeleton with a guitar. And he's like, "Uh-oh, I'm in trouble."
Well, that's another thing. So is that another thing that the three-horned king is looking at. Like, he's like, well, how can these music men help me? They can't help me. Well, then they die, and that's what happens. We don't know.
Right.
We don't know.
Yes. Yeah, he's like, can you play me a song that maybe tells me where this black cauldron is?
Right.
And if you can't, he's just going to leave you
to
there.
the death chamber with you. Yeah.
But these kids, and I love the relationship between these kids and this old man for the majority of this movie, where they almost kind of set him free, but then just run away. And at every turn, they're like, oh, God, that crazy man's following us. Let's get out of here.
Even at the end, when the four of them like go off into the field together, the girl's like, oh, yeah, you're still here, huh?
Totally forget about
Although he's really the reason. I mean, we'll get there. But his wisdom is the reason why they get out of the thing with the witches. The boy was just going to be like, oh, all right, well, if you can't give me that, then I guess we don't have a deal here. And it was the savviness of the music guy that was like, hold on, witches, you talk about bargains, we need a trade here.
I think the whole purpose of this movie, the whole point of this is it could have just been the princess and this old man, and it would have ended up the same.
I agree.
They would have been just fine. They would have escaped from this castle. They would have bargained with the witches. Although the kid did steal the sword, but thievery seems to be the only thing he brought to this team.
Yeah. It's the only thing he did well.
They start to run into some trouble because now these Vikings / there's a guy who reminded me of the Buffalo guy who stormed the Capitol. He's like dressed like that guy. That guy who got arrested and then went on hunger strike in prison because they didn't have vegan options
for
him.
When you're that angry.
Right. So, but this is where this kid's like, guess what? I got this awesome sword here. And the sword is magical and like does all the moves for him.
Yep.
And then, kind of wins the day and scares this guy. And the guy runs away and the kid's like, this is amazing.
I do think it's interesting that it's not until, so once this magical sword does its thing and can fight all these other, can beat them all off and nobody except later the witches think we need to get our hands on that magic sword. I guess they just assume it's the boy that's able to do that.
Well, listen, if somebody's swinging a magic sword at me, I'm not going to be like, I wonder if I can get my hands on this thing. I'm probably going to run the other direction.
I guess that's true. It's only a shady witch that would think those thoughts. All right. Point taken. But when they finally get almost out, they almost don't make it out of the castle doors.
There's like the drawbridge is up, so he has to cut it. And he doesn't even think to hit the chain with the sword.
No,
the princess has to go, hey, you have a magic sword, and there's a chain there that's keeping us in here. Why don't you hit that? And he does. And they kind of just run off. And like you said, this is when they kind of take a moment and argue.
Yeah.
And like you said, the princess and the boy storm off in opposite directions.
Well, because the princess is kind of like, like you said, he kind of gloats and is like, I just saved our lives. And she's like, well, it wasn't really you. It was like your magic sword.
It was like your magic sword. Also, I was the one that got you out of prison.
Right. And now we have this old man that followed us too. Like, I don't know. But they fight, but then they make up, and now they're all on this journey together. And they now is when we're reintroduced, right? Doesn't
Yeah, Gurgi assaults this old man.
Oh, right.
They're
Fluto, I think, is the old man.
Being like, yeah, all right, let's team up and find this pig. And then they hear the old man freaking out.
Right.
And this is where that animated stuffed animal is all over this guy, trying to steal things from him, trying to steal his hat for some reason. I don't know what he's doing.
He's a scavenger type of furball.
Yeah. And now they're like,
type.
Great, look at this team we got.
Yeah.
Dudes, this is great. There's 4 of us. Our team is almost complete. You know, we could use a grumpy fairy. And then they fall into a whirlpool. And then, like, they're so incompetent. I think Gurgi falls in first. This kid grabs his hand. He pulls him in. Then the old man and the princess try and grab his hand. They all get pulled in and, like, get pulled into underground secret tunnels.
They're in the underground caves of the fairies who are hiding. I think the Papa Smurf fairy says something like, so is the death and devastation still happening out there? Right. So like we said, there is some kind of a war. There's some kind of, we don't get enough of that background, but there's something, the evil is starting to take over and the fairies are underground hiding because the three-horned king won't find them down there, and they've established their little ecosystem in this like underground cave.
Yeah. I also love how this is so fun and convenient too, because these people are standing there and this little like monkey dog are standing there and the one fairy's like, I thought that was supposed to keep people out. And he's like, I don't know what's going on. Oh, P.S. your pig fell in earlier.
Yeah, they also are. They're like, oh, the pig, we got him.
Funny.
We'll take care of him. Well, I like it then too. So they get the information from the fairies about where where the cauldron is.
Where the black cauldron is, because they're like, hey, we're looking for a black cauldron. Listen, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it. It's a black cauldron. Like, yeah, we know exactly where it is. Here's where it is. And the fact that this kid wanted nothing but to save this pig, and then leaves
the pig with the fairies.
Yeah, they're like, hey, we'll make sure the pig gets back home. You're just going to take care of that cauldron, kid.
Now, again, the pig could have joined them on the journey. Maybe a little delicate because it's an adorable pig and it's clearly a wanted pig. And maybe the pig has like a tracking device in it so the three-horned king will find them quicker. We don't know. But like you said, the kid's main purpose was to care for. He is a pig caretaker. That is his job.
Yes.
And he's just left this pig with these creatures he didn't know existed a minute ago.
No.
And
the fact that these creatures are like, we'll take him home, I'd be like, do you know where this pig lives?
Well, they knew where the black cauldron was.
Oh, yeah, you're right. No,
So
that's a good point. They know everything.
So the next adventure, and like we mentioned, they send him off with the crankiest of the ferrymen or
the
fairies.
Crankiest of the fairies.
But
like you said, they introduced us to all these color-coded fairies, and I'm like, oh, what an interesting thing. Oh, we're done. We're done with that.
We don't even see them. They don't even fly at the end with the you know what I mean? Like, oh, and the fairies are so happy because their land is saved because the boy beat the cauldron or whatever. No, we don't see them ever again. They're adorable, but we don't see them ever again.
I want to. Okay, so I'm sorry to just jump right ahead here to the witch's house, but they find this witch's house.
Yes, more fun. Yeah.
They walk inside, and the princess is like, so this is where the black cauldron is. And the kid immediately is like, we are never going to find this thing. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It would be like if I said to you, Jamie, there's a magical bicycle somewhere on the planet. All you have to do is find it. And then I'm like, I'm just kidding. It's in that house. And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? I can't find it in there. It is such a weird thing to be like, it's just a little house underneath a tree. And this kid's like, I don't know where to look. And they're looking in like tiny drawers and under the couch.
Like I said, he's not a hero. He's not a hero. He's
not a hero, and they're not very smart.
No.
I mean, we do quickly see how confusing this can be because they do like open a closet and like all sorts of pots and pans and everything falls out.
Right. Well, and then they open something else up and all these frogs go hopping away, and it turns out the frogs were humans. The witches put spells on them.
Yeah. We're introduced now to 3 witches.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 2 evil, bloodthirsty witches and 1 super horny witch. Who's like,
super saucy witch, yeah.
I could not. She is all over this old man.
She's a witch. She ain't got laid in a while. She's the curviest of them all, and she just wants a little sweet lovin'.
Yeah, and it really is like one day the animators just sat down and said, you know what? We're just going to like take some time. And who in here, raise your hand. Can you animate cleavage? How about if a frog is stuck in it? Can you do that? Can you handle that?
It was a whole at least 6 minutes, maybe not that long, but she turns him into a frog and wiggles him throughout all her curves and cleavages.
Yeah.
And it's very strange. It's very strange.
Did you also notice the boner joke here where he's talking to her and the string breaks on his harp and sticks straight? Yeah, it's really something.
Oh, man.
And so the whole thing is the witches are like, okay, so that's cool. You're here for some cookware? We got plenty of cookware.
Oh, yeah.
What do you want? And then they say we want the black cauldron, and the witches are like, we can't sell you that. That's not cool. But immediately the witches are like, you know what's pretty bitchin', that sword you got?
Yeah,
like, we will totally trade you.
Yeah. The one witch, the kind of head witch, is like, you know what I want to get my hands on? Your sweet sword. and I'll make you a bargain, because that's what we witches do. We make bargains. Again, if this was a Disney movie that followed typical Disney protocol, great time for a little song where the witches sing about making bargains and deals. But they don't.
That curvy
we don't
witch
get
wants to get her hands on that old man's sweet sword.
That's right. She's going to bargain some other things for the sword. Oh my gosh. But the boy doesn't really hesitate. He's like, magic sword that makes me the warrior I've always wanted to be, or the black cauldron, which I know nothing about its power or how I can access it or how to even destroy it. Ask no questions to the witch. Like, okay, well, if I get this cauldron from you, what do I do? Yeah. He doesn't look at the fine print at all. He
doesn't look at it. This kid's brain is broken. When the witches are like, listen, that sword that you just found and have no attachment to, we will take that for this source of evil that you are on a journey for. And the kid's like, I don't know about that. I really like my sword. Like, kid, the whole point you're here is to get this, and they're willing to trade you for something you just picked up. So he makes the deal. Yeah. And then, like you said, they're like, by the way, quick question. How do we destroy this thing? And they're like, what? You can't. Unless one of you sacrifices yourself. Like, you can't just throw someone in. It has to be of the person's free will to jump into the cauldron in order to destroy it.
Right. And then you will cease to exist. So when they find that out, none of them are like, but this will save our people. This will save our land. This will stop the evil king. I will sacrifice myself. They're like, well, that sucks. We did all that to get this cauldron that we had. Well, I guess we'll just journey back, check on the old man, pick up the pig.
We did everything we could possibly think of, and I guess the world is doomed now. Right. They really are sitting around a campfire, and the camera just goes from one to the other, and they're like, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't know. I'm not jumping in. How about you? Nope, I'm not doing it either. It is so bizarre. But also at this time, like, they don't even discuss this. Like, I would love it if they're having a discussion and finally this old man stands up and is like, I have lived a long life. I am willing to do this. And then they're captured. But no, it's just them moping, and then they're descended upon by those Vikings again and immediately taken away. And now the bad guy has the black cauldron.
They've led it straight to his path.
But Gurgi, or as I wrote him in my notes here, Gigi, gets away.
Yeah, because Gigi gets easily scared and startled. And so when the big bullies come, or I think it's maybe even before that, he scurries off. And so he does not get captured. Plus, he's so little and not on their radar, really, to capture.
It's everybody else except for, where's that fairy at this point?
Where's the fairy buzzes off at some point. Exactly. IDK.
Okay.
IDK.
Again, those animators, lots of cocaine, and they were really
They had as much ADHD as the Taran, whatever the lead boy's name was. Like,
they're like, who's the characters now in this, man? I don't know, whatever. It's a kid and a princess.
We're just going to get him back to that cauldron.
I forgot about all the characters.
The princess does give the boy a little quick pep talk before the bad guys descend on them. And again, it's a moment where you could have had this, like, sweeter, more, I don't know, like, she gives him this brief pep talk about believing in yourself, but it doesn't give us enough.
Okay. Is this, or is it earlier when they're, like, almost about to kiss, and this old dart player's like super into it? Like, in the background, he's like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna watch these two little kids kiss."
I think it's
I'm so into this right now.
I think it's this.
Okay, it's very bizarre.
But then the dragons.
His reaction in the background is unsettling.
Yeah, I agree. He's unsettling. But now, like you said, the three-horned king is ready to activate, or he does act. He's got the cauldron, and he's going to activate it.
Yeah.
By carrying this,
which means you throw a pile of bones in there, and then like green smoke comes out of it.
Green winds blow, and that's
Disney stuff happens, and then it's evil because all this like pile of dead warriors now come to life.
This is what the three-kinged horn has been dreaming of: his deathless whatever army, deathless warriors.
And you mentioned it earlier, like this would be frightening to a child. Like this is very creepy, like super cool. This is some of the neatest looking stuff in this movie, I think, but very scary.
Yeah, so if you're a little kid watching it, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a bit much, yes. And they're all distracted. The bad guy's like, we got to go to the tower. Like, we got to watch this all happen.
Yeah.
He runs to the tower with this little goblin guy so that they can watch all the evil skeletons walk out across the drawbridge. And I don't know, wreak havoc among the land.
Go off to war?
No.
Go
yeah,
off to some
I
kind of war?
guess.
That would be hella creepy if you were just hanging
sure.
in the village, taking care of, I don't know,
I
non-powerful
don't know.
pigs.
How do you kill a skeleton?
Yeah,
I
and
don't
they're
know.
coming
I
for
have
you.
No idea.
They're coming for you.
You
This
don't
is
aim
when
for their heart.
Gigi, is that what you called little
Gurgle?
Gurgle?
I called him Gigi, but his name is Gurgi. I know that much.
He comes back and he unties them. They've been tied up in some other chamber, and he unties his three friends.
Then this movie takes a very dark turn. Like, we just saw some of the scariest stuff ever, and now I have to watch this adorable Muppet go like,
Sacrifice
I don't have any
himself.
friends,
Yeah.
so I'm going to kill myself.
Yeah, so freaking sad. And another time where the boy just like when the little pig got taken away by the dragons because the boy just couldn't get there in time. The boy is like begging him, no, don't do this. And he's too late. The little furball jumps to his death into the cauldron. And now I would say 70% of this movie, the boy was annoyed by the Gurgi, was bothered by him wanting to have the apple, didn't really have a chummy, he was master, and, you know, whatever you want. But the boy was half interested in him, really. But now that he sacrificed himself for his friendship, the boy is distraught. Super sad.
Distraught. And I'm not saying the boy's reaction should have been like, well, that was easy.
Yeah.
I can't believe that we're saved now. But it's such a weird turn. Like, it really is. Like, he met this thing, I'm going to say earlier that afternoon, and they spent almost no time together. Yeah. But you're right. He is now a super attachment to this thing. And and I was really, again, watching this for the first time, I was really like, well, he's not dead, right? Like, he jumped into that, and now, you know, he's going to save the day. But at the end, like, he'll crawl out and everything will be fine. And we see what happens in that like, all the green smoke and stuff, like, gets sucked back into the cauldron.
The deathless army, right?
Yeah. They all die.
Right.
I do like how the Horned King is running around, like, shaking them, like, get up. He's just shaking bones. And then the Cauldron gets so mad or whatever's happening that it sucks this Horned King into it.
And now the
Horned King...
King...
Which kind of, like, stops the reaction.
Yeah. Well, the evil's gone now, though. The little sacrifice was made by the sweet little Muppet dog. And, the evil has been sucked away by the Cauldron.
And this... The little goblin guy, the evil sidekick.
Oh, I do like his reaction.
His boss is dead.
Yeah. At first he's like, "Oh, he's dead. My king is dead," and then all of a sudden he's like, "Hey, now I'm free." Because he does. This little goblin gets stressed.
These dragons around.
Right? Exactly. Yeah, I can take joyrides on the dragons.
It's really weird.
This little goblin does get stressed throughout this movie because every time he interacts with the goblin or the three-horned king, he's in some kind of trouble or gets choked out. He even chokes himself so that the three-horned king doesn't
he won't choke him. Yeah. And then when the three-horned king or the horned king lets him go, he closes the door and you can hear him outside there laughing like, I can't believe I choked myself. Yeah. And I got away with this.
But no, now he's free and is riding dragons around. Right. And the threesome they're kind of happy because life's back to normal, but like you said, they're really sad because they're missing their little furry friend who they just met.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so the witches
they're back.
Ghosts. Like, now they're kind of ghosts.
Right.
Because they
appear in the sky.
They're in the clouds talking to them and everything like that. And so they're like, oh, you know, that was really great what you did and everything like that. They're totally going to just let them go and we're done. deal done, sword for Cauldron, and now the Cauldron's totally useless to you, so why don't you just let us have it back?
Yeah.
And like you said, this old harp player now, he steps up and actually does something.
Yeah, he gets savvy.
And did you see how turned on this witch again
Oh
becomes
my
by
God.
this forceful old man when he's like, now listen to me. She's like, oh.
I love a powerful man. Yeah.
It is so bizarre in this children's movie.
Yeah, very
But
unnecessary.
Yes. But he makes a trade, or the kid makes a trade, and he's like, fine, you know what? You want the Black Cauldron? You already got my sword. I will trade you the Cauldron for Gurgi.
I want my Gurgi back. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And these witches have the ability to bring back the dead.
Well, no, they don't. At first, they're like, "No, we can't do that." And it's it's the old harp player that it's like, "Oh, you guys said you're so powerful, but you can't bring Gurgi back, huh?" And then the witches kind of get pissed, and they're like, "We'll show you." They do bring Gurgi back, and Gurgi is just at first I didn't expect Gurgi because I didn't know what to expect with this movie, right? So they bring basically an unconscious Gurgi back. And the boy holds
this
Gurgi.
Kid's just holding
Gurgi
a
is
Muppet
limp
with nobody's
in his
hand
arms.
in it.
Yeah. Right. Gurgi is limp. Everyone is so sad. And I'm like, oh my God, the witches are such bitches. They brought back Gurgi, but he's dead. You're not going to bring back a live Gurgi. And just be patient, people, because...
Be patient. Be patient. You have to wait 10 seconds, maybe.
The Gurg is awake, and he's back, and he's so happy to be with his master, and everyone is so happy, and the pig is drunk and back and putting her little snout in the water and seeing the vision of this foursome.
It appears that the old man and the cranky fairy have been watching this the entire time.
The cranky fairy was like, at some point, the cranky fairy was like, these three are knuckleheads. I'm going to grab the pig and bring him back. That's the journey I should be on. I don't need to bring this kid to where he's got to go. They're going to figure something out.
This cranky fairy's like, I better tell that old man that they're all dead. Because there's not going to be anyone around to let him know what happened. And you're right. Like, it is really funny at the end of this because they are watching through this whirlpool. So we watch the kid and the princess like join hands and walk away, and Gurgi joins them. And then, like you said, they kind of forget that an old man has been there the whole time.
She looks back over her shoulder and is like, oh yeah, old man. And he skips along. And then it's just this like, it's just the silhouette of the four of them. Gurgi included.
I wanted a scene of when she turns around to see where his old man is. Like, he is giving this witch his number or something like that. Like,
he's stuck in her cleavage still. He's like, I guess this is just my fate now. That's fine.
Yeah.
At least the world's been saved.
And then in silhouette, you watch them all walk off into the, I don't know, the victory that they have achieved in this.
Where? How?
This is something. And I guess we can get into final thoughts. I mean, first of all, if you've been listening, if you're a patron, you heard us talk about our thoughts, 15
we
minutes
pre-thought
before we
this.
started recording.
Yeah.
I did not like this.
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy it. Like I said, visually, there's some stuff that's interesting. This is, as you said, a great Disney movie to talk about because it's not just us going, oh yeah, you know how this goes, and it's really fun and it's so Disney-ish. This is the weirdest Disney thing. It's almost Fantasia type of weird where you're like, Disney made this? It doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wasn't into the characters. It's, for being something that's an hour 15, at times it did feel really long and really slow.
Yeah. Like I said, I had to take it in two parts. Yeah, I didn't, and like I mentioned earlier, if you had told me about this, I would think I would be sold on it. Witches and fairies and evil and adventures, and sounds right up my alley. But then watching it, I was just bored and disappointed and saw so many ways that they could have made it a little, like there was, had the boy been linked somehow to the sword, had we, other than he took it off the dead body, had the girl shown some sort of a strength, and like you said, we have very few women and girls represented in this, and what they do basically is, well, they're either witches or they fall for the boy, and that's not necessary. She had her own power.
Because even if it was like when they left the castle, then we saw like a king and an army ride up, and she's like, "Dad,
Right.
wow, blah blah blah."
Right.
Like, there would have been something really satisfying because at the end of this, when they all walk away, I was like, "Where are they going?
Yeah.
Where are these three going together?
They're all going to take
know where
care
this-
of Henwen together.
I mean, like, I don't know where this musician came from. She's a princess. He's going back to the pig slop that he lives in. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, but then she a princess? They never elaborated on that because at one point the I think it's the three-horned king calls her like just a maiden, and I wonder like, oh, does she like again? Where's her character development? Did she lie about
Right.
being a princess because she's in a cave, and really she's just this magical maiden that got thrown in the cave because magic is banned in this area now, or because
Right.
they thought her magic could bring them the cauldron? Like, you wanted a little more depth. If we're gonna be this weirdo Disney,
Yes.
off-center Disney movie with this more evil and more darkness and more magic than we see, and then give me more of that, you know? Yeah, just disappointing, I guess.
Yeah,
but
yeah, a little bit disappointing.
I'd never seen it before.
Oh no! And I really want to make it very clear for our wonderful patron Laura. Disappointing isn't bad. Listen, this was fun to talk about, and
yeah.
you give us movies for reasons, and I think you know what we're gonna do. We're gonna have fun with it. We're gonna make fun of it, whether we like it or not.
Oh, yeah.
In the end, so
Again, whether we liked it or not shouldn't take an offense to her suggestion. It is a great suggestion to watch because it's one of those movies that's just a weird, strange Disney movie that I had heard about but never really saw. And again, for the sake of our podcast and what we do, this is perfect.
It's perfect.
Do you have a recommendation?
This is not related to this movie at all.
Not in the least. Okay.
But I recently saw a movie called Bit.
Bit like a
Bit.
Okay.
Like,
BIT, like I bit you. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It's from 2019, so very recent.
Oh yeah.
It is a vampire movie, but it's
Figured.
like a girl power. I hate to say it because it makes me think of the Spice Girls. Like, it's a very feminist vampire movie, which is really cool. It's about this girl who, she's in, late teens because I think she just graduated high school, doesn't know what she wants to do with her life. So she goes to LA to like bunk up with her brother and just kind of hang out for the summer and figure things out. And they go to some club, and she meets some really cool chicks who just happen to be vampires.
Ooh.
And the rules are like, you know what we do? We find cool ladies and we make them vampires. We don't make dudes vampires because they're horrible.
Just chicks.
Yes.
All right.
And they kind of explain to her, like, here's what we do. We have to eat people, but we try and find, like, date rapists and bad dudes to kill. Yes.
Yeah, we try to eliminate the evil. I like it.
Right. Yeah, it is really funny because at some point they're like, we kind of sometimes make mistakes. We might kill people that aren't terrible, but we really, really try. And it's kind of fun. It's a fun vampire movie. It's not scary. Like if that's something where you're like, oh, horror movies. No, that's not what it is.
Okay.
But it is fun. It's different. Some of the effects are really, really cool. So I would check it out.
It does sound fun. I like it.
Yeah.
I took a sort of easier route as far as recommendation. I just went to... because a lot of the animation in this movie did make me think of Sleeping Beauty, and I recently over the pandemic, because we were home, I stayed one of the days that we were home and not doing anything. I watched the Sleeping Beauty. I hadn't seen it since I was a kid, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was like, I see why I loved this movie as a kid. It's fun. It's the fairies, the godmothers, all of it. And it's just as long as this movie, I think, and goes
just as short.
So much quicker. Well, yeah, just as short, and it feels quick, and it was a perfect little afternoon treat for me the day that I saw it, and so I would recommend. Instead of Black Cauldron, watching Sleeping Beauty.
Well, thank you everybody for listening to us talk about our first animated Disney movie. I got some news, Jamie.
Hey.
I got some news.
What is it?
Oh my God, we are about to enter my favorite month of the year.
It's your season. It is.
And as I said on a previous episode, we got 3 horror movies to do this year.
That's
because
exciting.
we start on October 1st. That's Friday, October 1st. It's going to be our first horror movie that we do. And if you are a patron, you also know that on the 1st of October, we put out a bonus episode. So, Jamie, we have 2 episodes coming out on the same day.
That's a double whammy.
Let me first talk about our bonus episode.
Yeah.
We watched Link, and maybe we enjoyed it, maybe we didn't.
Oh.
There's something about murderous killer monkeys that actually scares me.
Yeah. They're supposed to be so
And
sweet.
while they were big, giant, kind of scary monkeys in that movie that seems like they could have overpowered Elizabeth Shue,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to talk about a different monkey movie called Monkey Shines.
Monkey Shines.
Monkey
Okay.
Shines, where a man who is a quadriplegic,
Oh.
he cannot use his arms and legs,
That's what that is.
confined to a wheelchair. He gets a helper monkey who
Ooh.
is murderous.
Oh.
I saw it a long time ago. I thought it would be, from what I remember, something fun and funny to talk about.
Yeah. I mean, sure.
So let's talk about our regular episode. So we're going to do our first ghost movie. And I could be wrong. Maybe we did other ghost movies. But we're going to talk about a big one, Jamie. Everybody knows this movie. Everybody's probably seen this movie. We're going to talk about Poltergeist.
Ew. Carol Ann.
So
Carol Ann.
oh yeah. I get to try and do that voice again.
Yeah.
You know, she was in 16 Candles at the end,
Yeah.
like cleaning up the church for some reason. I think I did her voice as the girl in the Neverending Story, and you were very angry about that. Like, that little girl does not sound like that. So another excuse for me to do that voice, I will always take advantage of that. So if you are interested in Patreon, we have that, and for $5 you get everything, and you will get 2 episodes on the same day.
That's sweet.
And
It's a lot of listening time. A lot of good listening time.
A lot of listening time. A lot of horror movies ahead. Thank you again, Laura, and thank you everyone for listening. And we will see you again in 2 weeks. Until then, everybody have a great 2 weeks.
Take good care.
Don't you find me irresistible?
Her name? No, his? Oh God!
What
This
are
is
you
how.
doing? Why are we starting? See, I didn't take notes on Charlotte's Web.